So let's talk about racism, because, that's usually a pretty a topic that people are pretty rational on, I find. Not a lot of motion tied into that one. So that's a good thing. Let's, avoid controversy, just talk about race. So this is an article from Metro Co. UK. The way you define racism may stop you from seeing it. So what definition do you hold? Now, when it comes to words like racism that are really broad topics, definitions are all over the place. You can't just open a dictionary and be like, here it is, Oxford said. Because everyone has different conceptions of what the word means, and there's a lot of argument about the definition of certain words like racism. But for me, racism is the belief that, your race is superior. Not even necessarily your race, but that, certain races are superior to others. Certain races are better than others. Maybe it's usually, obviously, the case is usually that if your race is the superior race, if you're a black racist, then, it's black supremacy. Blacks are the true people. We're the true Israelites or whatever the fuck. If you're white, then it's, white power, Ku Klux Klan, white nationalism, what the fuck, Stormfront bullshit. There's Hindu nationalists that, Hindu, India for the Hindus kind of stuff. It's not exclusive to any one race. Every race has racists. Sometimes, it's pretty widespread. Because it's a really easy sell to people. Racism is super easy to sell to anybody. Hey, you see this skin color you got? That's the ultimate skin color. All the other ones are shit. It's like, oh yeah, fuck it, fucking A right. Easy selling point to any fucking moron out there. So it's just like, hey, you're better without even trying. Who doesn't want to hear that? Everybody does. It's great. So anyway, that'd be my basic, general fucking dumbass definition of racism. But there's far broader concepts of racism. There's far narrower concepts of racism than mine. But that basically be where I am at. So anyway, let's dive into this article. Some things are glaringly racist: being called racial slurs, being attacked for looking or sounding different, being mistreated because of skin color. Most of us can probably agree these things are racist. You would hope, but I don't know. I don't know that we all agree on that. It seems like a lot of people, no matter how overtly racist something is, they're just like, nope, what? That's not racist. It's not racist at all. What are you talking about? I don't see that. But yeah, I guess most people probably can agree on that. These fit into the established understanding of racism, the belief that one's own racial or ethnic group is superior. Like I said, it's not always one's own. There are definitely black people out there who are like, the white race is superior. That definitely exists. So, you don't necessarily have to say it's your own race. You could, as long as you have some belief that certain races are superior to others and blah, 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 you could be a racist, So let's not restrict it to only people who think their own race is the best. Although that's the common one, obviously. Because that's the whole, like I said, the big selling point of racism is you're better than other people without even trying. So that is the typical racist. But these definitions can miss crucial aspects of the true meaning of racism: power dynamics, prejudice, and structural racism. So, I just read that sentence, and maybe I should be open-minded about this. Maybe I should be real. Sorry, I'm gonna adjust a little bit in my seat there. Maybe I should look at that, and I should be like, all right, I need to be ready to accept new knowledge and open that skull, just open my mind to new ideas. The pain. But man, I read that sentence and it's just like, my mind glazes over. That would be the point where if I wasn't doing a video about this article, I'd just be like, next. So I guess I'm closed-minded, but I'm going to try really hard for the sake of you guys watching and for the sake of myself to approach this with an open fucking mind. All right, let's see what they got to say. Professor Peter Wade, a sociologist from the University of Manchester, tells us how racism Racism more complex. That doesn't make sense. Tells us how racism more complex and insidious than the traditional definition. Okay, that sentence literally is gibberish. Explaining that it is a system of oppression that has historically existed and continues to do so against minorities and debilitating their lives in covert and overt ways. Peter tells Metro Co-UK, racism is an ideology and a practice that produces a society in which some people systematically have less access to resources, power, security, and well-being than others. These systemic inequalities reflect hierarchical differences between people originally created by colonialism, which produced patterns of historical inequality that make it difficult for certain people to access opportunities and resources. If our understanding of racism is that it's only when people knowingly believe they are superior, then we are actively ignoring the true insidious ways it operates. It is important to understand that racism is much more than outright thinking one race is better than the other. Most of us probably don't go around thinking our skin is better than the color of other people's skin. Changing the definition of racism could bring the current disconnect between those oppressed and those doing the oppressing. So what definition of racism do you hold, and is it time to change it? Okay, so I hold the traditional definition that you guys described. And, when you talk about systemic inequalities and lack of ability to access certain resources and stuff like that, I kind of tend to associate those things with poverty. Obviously, I have access to, like, if I wanted to take out a small business loan, I probably wouldn't be denied. If I was like, I want to start a business, I could go to the bank and say, hey, here's my, credit score. Here's my fucking track record. Here's a business proposal. And there's a pretty good chance I'll get a fucking small business loan, or a home loan or a car loan or whatever the fuck. I've probably not been discriminated against in terms of like housing and stuff like that. Some of that has to do maybe with race. But for me, the major predictive factor there is poverty because, I think that a rich black person probably has more access to those resources than does a really impoverished, indigent white person. Even though, then again, you have to ask yourself, why are black people in this country so disproportionately poor? Does it just have to do with, the history of the things? Does it have to do with some sort of like cultural stuff? Does it have to do with, as a lot of the racists claim, some genetic components? Now, I don't know the answers to those questions. Frankly, I'm probably not qualified to even attempt to answer those questions. I'm not going to try here. But the real thing that attracted me to this article, and this is where we get to the fun part, is the stuff that they want to, these are things that don't fit into the traditional definition of racism, but may still contribute to it. All right? So I'm going to go through this, and we're going to figure out just how racist we all are, or at least how racist I am. Mixing up people who seem to be the same ethnicity. So am I guilty of that? Yes, absolutely. Now, when it comes to black men, I could tell the difference between different black dudes. Okay, I got that down. I don't really, I don't look at fucking Lawrence Fishburne and be like, yo, it's Samuel L. Jackson. So I'm good at that. Black women, that's a lot trickier. Women in general, though, like, it's hard for me to like point, like, my wife will be watching, like some TV shows together or something, or like a movie, and she'll be like, hey, you recognize that actress? I'll be like, no. And then she'll be like, well, she's been in like 10 other things you've seen. I'm like, oh shit, really? So I'm really bad at recognizing women, differentiating women's faces. It's like a gender-based prosopagnosia or something. And I'm really not too great at black women especially. They tend to be really hard for me. Asians, just in general, Asian men and women have extraordinary difficulty. Like, if I love Asian cinema, I'm overstating my love for it. I like Akira Kurosawa movies and a few other, I'll watch some Asian movies here and there. That's what I'm saying. Especially like a lot of, chop sake fucking kung fu shit. And sometimes I'll be like, okay, I'm having real trouble differentiating this character from this character because to me, they kind of look the fucking same. But is that I don't know. Is that racism? I mean, it doesn't necessarily even say that's racism. It says that's contributing to racism. But, like, what can I do about that? Like, is there a way I can even, like, do I have to sit down and do, like, a careful study of Asian faces until I start to see the nuanced difference of the features? Like, because, I mean, I just suck at it. I mean, you know, certain people are probably a lot better at recognizing different facial features than I am. And that's great for them. I'm not too good at it. And I seem to especially struggle with Asians, with black women, and to a lesser extent with women in general. Now, does that mean I have like a lesser opinion of those groups of people? No. I mean, I think of them the same way I think of the rest of the human race. They're shit. You know, so I don't have any particular problem with them. Who knows? And if it is a problem, if that is contributing to racism, I certainly don't want to contribute to racism. I don't consider myself a racist. So what can I do? Let me know. Not bothering to learn an ethnic name, always mispronouncing it, calling them something that's easier to pronounce, making a show of saying it. You know, usually when I encounter an ethnic name, it's something that I'm only going to be saying once, like, because I'm reading a news story or something, and it'll be like, Columbablesh or some shit, and I'll fucking struggle with it because it's, I mean, like, it's tough for me. I'm sorry. I was raised around Anglo fucking names. So when I see Columbablesh, I don't fucking necessarily know instantly how to pronounce that. And I'm not going to go out of my way to learn because I'm never going to fucking see that name again. You know? I mean, unless I have, like, if I met a dude named Columbablesh, you know, hey, this is Columbablesh, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to have to learn this so that I can actually get this right. I'm not just going to be calling me okay or whatever, you know, I'm going to learn Columbablesh. But if we're talking about just like some article somewhere or something, you know, I ain't going to bother with learning that. Why would I? You know, I'm going to learn something that's more pertinent, something that, you know, I'm going to be using over and over again. If I'm going to devote precious memory space to learning something new, it's going to be something that I'm going to use continuously. I'm not going to learn, hey, this is how you pronounce Columbablesh, and then I never fucking have to use the name Columbablesh again. By the way, I just made up Columbablesh off the spot, and I actually think Columbablesh is a pretty cool name. So, you know, if any of you are out there about to become parents or something, maybe add Columbablesh to your short list of potential names. Touching a black person's hair. Now, I have done this. I was a little kid, and, you know, I was raised in the South, and I went to a private school, so it was pretty much an all-white school. But we did at one point have a foreign exchange kind of student from somewhere in Africa, I guess. And he was a black kid, and he was like a novelty to us. I'll admit. I was like, yeah, whoa. It's like our first real interactions with a black kid. So, you know, it was like, oh, you know, let's touch his hair because it's fucking interesting. And it felt like, oh, it's like a sheep's hair. Now, looking back on that, I kind of cringed a little bit, I'll admit. But, you know, I wouldn't do that as an adult. And if you do that as an adult, it's probably weird. I mean, like, don't touch a stranger's hair in general. Like, regardless of their race, don't walk up, yeah, look at that. Like, if someone came up to me and touched my hair, I'd be like, hey, stop it, weirdo. I don't like that. So I can understand that. Don't touch fucking anybody's hair. Just leave it alone. Black, otherwise. Don't fucking touch it. Asking easily searchable things to the only minority person in your vicinity. I am not guilty of that. In fact, I never ask anyone anything because asking someone a question just encourages them to talk, which usually tends to be something that I'm opposed to on a fundamental level. I do not want to listen to other human beings talk because time that they're spending talking to me is time that I can't spend listening to myself, whether I'm speaking aloud and just falling in love with the sound of my own voice, or whether I'm just thinking something internally. I don't like someone gumming up the works by, you know, talking at me. I don't need that. I don't want that. It's never interested me. There's a select few people that I give half of a shit about their opinion and what they have to say, but even then it's a fucking struggle. So, yeah, I would never ask anyone anything because it's a threat to my narcissistic personality. Let's see, what else we got? making assumptions based on race. I mean, I've definitely done that. I mean, I guess that's a problem, right? I mean, I try not to. I make a fucking honest effort not to make assumptions about somebody based on their race. But I mean, like, don't certain things kind of hold true? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Never something malicious or anything. But, like, there's I'll tell you a fucking story, all right? So my uncle, he's a gay dude. He's a gay sort of semi-Christian sort of dude, and he's like left-leaning, but he's really like politically incorrect kind of left. And he was with one of his friends, and they ordered some Chinese takeout, and they were like, hey, like it was taking a while, and his friend was like, and I wonder when that's going to get here, well, he's like, well, let's go outside on the front porch and we'll kind of look down the street and see when it's coming. And he's like, well, how are you going to know what car the takeout driver's going? And he'll be like, well, it'll be the one that's, stopping at every single house and driving about 2 miles an hour. And they're like, oh my God, you're horrible. That's so racist. I can't believe you would say something like that. But they go out in the front porch and, sure enough, they see this car coming down the road, slow as molasses, stopping at every single house to check and see if it's the right address, and driving forward, stopping again, driving forward, stopping again. And, of course, that was the delivery driver, and their friend at that point was like, oh, fuck you. Not only did you say this horrible, bigoted shit, but you were right. It proved to have predictive power, Now, of course, that's completely anecdotal, and I'm sure there's Asian people who are terrific, wonderful drivers who drive just like everybody else. And by the way, I personally am a terrible driver, and I happen to be white as fucking the snow. So, but sometimes, the stereotypes are there, and they're there for fucking some kind of reason, right? I mean, there's some fucking little. I mean, like, can we just admit that there's some little truth there? No, we can't. Of course not. That's offensive. It's too much, TJ. Too much. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to get some counseling or something. Seeing racism in things that are not racist. What? I mean, okay. Okay. Seeing racism in things that are not racist. I don't. Okay. I'm stumped. I don't know what to fucking say to that. So first of all, I mean, depending on your definition of race, if you got like a more narrow definition of racism, you could look at this list and say, then this whole list is racist because, you're seeing a bunch of racism with things that are not necessarily racist, right? So you could say, well, then this whole list must be racist because it violates that tenet. That'd be an easy line of attack, I guess. But I want to keep an open mind about this shit. But like, how would that be a sign of racism? I mean, you need some explanation on that one, right? Like, give me an example of what the fuck you're talking about so I can at least kind of grasp what's being said there. Like, I can't even think of an example where someone thinking something is racist when it's not racist would be in and of itself racist. Maybe what they're saying, okay, I'm going out on a limb here. Maybe what they're saying is that when you see something that's not racist and you act as though it is racist, then you're diminishing actual racism by framing something as racist when it's not, and therefore you kind of dilute, you're kind of muddying the waters, you're diluting what racism actually means or what it is. But that, once again, that's a criticism I would make of a lot of stuff on this list here. Anyway, moving on. Singing the N-word in songs. Well, some songs have the N-word in it. I mean, I like to sing along songs. What if I'm listening to Patti Smith or Marilyn Manson sing rock and roll N-word? N-word. Because they have a song, both of them. It was originally a Patti Smith song, and then Marilyn Manson covered it. Rock and roll N-word, because I can't say the actual word now, because it's hate speech. What if I mean, they're white, both of them. They sang the song. Hell, Marilyn Manson has another song called Irresponsible Hate Anthem that also contains the N-word. Everybody's someone else's N-word. I feel so stupid saying N-word, by the way, because you all know what the fuck it is. You know? I just wish I could contextually get away with fucking saying it, because I feel like a goddamn little kid when I have to say N-word. But whatever. I'm playing by the fucking rules. Everybody's someone else's N-word. I know you are, so am I. Or if you go look at the lyrics of rock and roll, N-word. It's the N-word, everybody. Both of those instances, they're not using the N-word as a pejorative against black people. They're using it as a, another term for pariah or outcast. When they say rock and roll N-word, they're talking about the people who are alienated and isolated, not because of their skin color, but because of their, lifestyle, I guess. The rock and roll lifestyle, especially during like the 60s, 70s kind of thing. But whatever. So can I sing it then because it's white people singing, or should they not even be singing it because it's wrong when they do it, so it's doubly wrong for me to repeat it? Okay, so that's one instance where it's a white person singing the fucking song to begin with. So is it okay in that instance, or is it doubly not okay? And then, of course, there's tons of songs that are sung by black artists where they say the N-word. And, apparently, like, what am I supposed to do? Like, when I'm singing along to the song, am I supposed to just bleep? Am I supposed to, like, just clam up for a second? What if it slips? Like, what if I'm trying to do that? What if I'm bleeping myself every time, And then... And then it gets to the, but what if one just slips out? What if it's like, oh. Is it bad then? Do I have to, is there like a dance of contrition I have to do? I'm so sorry, not racist, sorry that I hurt you, look at my virtue. I don't know. What am I supposed to do then? I guess it's not that hard. I can bleep it. Bleep. Bleep. Make a big show of bleeping it. Because I feel like if you just do like the silence there, like if you just go quiet for a second, people might assume that you sang it. So I think you have to make a big spectacle of like, bleep. Bleep. All the white people at the fucking rap show, me and my beep. Whole crowd of people. Beep. Sometimes, okay, whatever. Got a lot to go through. Calling a black person uppity. What if they are? Because, like, uppity, like, that's a thing people can be, right? People can be uppity. Black people sometimes, I get it. Okay, it's got a bad history, Okay, all right. I'm being a little bit combative here. I'll give it to you. Okay, don't. I won't say it. I've never have. Not a word I even really use too much anyway. But I can see it. Okay, I can see it. Being colorblind. See, I don't like that one. I'll be really honest with you. I think that the best way to overcome, I get the counter argument. I really fucking do. I swear that as much as I can get the counter argument, I do get the counter argument. Okay? When you do the colorblind thing, I don't even see color. I don't even see it. First of all, it is bullshit. Right? You do see color. You're not fucking stupid. I get that the counter argument is like, Well, when you don't see color, then you can't. There's a lot of problems that you're not seeing at that point. You're not seeing all the discrimination that's happening against black people when you don't see color. Because if you don't see that they're black and you just there's no difference between us, then there's nothing. You're not necessarily going to be like, oh well, you guys were discriminated against on housing, or you guys are disproportionately pulled over by the police or something like that. Well, no, because I don't even see color. To me, you're just another person getting pulled over and beaten up by the police. I don't even see the color. But of course, a lot of the times, the cops do see the color, right? And I know this. I mean, my friend Galen and Galen used to have a very stereotypically black-looking car. It was an old Cadillac, and it was the kind of car that was. At least in this area, I don't know about other people's areas, but at least in this area, it's a car that's kind of favored by black people. And one time, a cop followed me and Galen all the way back to my house, and then we got out of the car. He saw we were white, and he was just, oh, okay, just drove off. He's like, yeah, what are these people up to? Oh, they're white. It's fine. I'll go along my merry day. Go get about official police business. Go get me some donuts or whatever. So, I mean, I know that. I know. I get the counter argument. But at the same time, like, I don't think society, by and large, ever gets past all of this race bullshit unless people do eventually come around to not giving a shit. I really think that that's the solution. I think if you got 100% of people on board with this whole I don't see color thing, that'd be the end of it. We wouldn't have to worry about it anymore. There'd be no more housing discrimination. There'd be no more police brutality disproportionately visited upon black people. There'd be no more harsher court sentences disproportionately affecting black people. There'd be none of that. Because no one would ever even think to do that. In a world where everyone's just a person, there's not going to be any positive or negative. There's not going to be any there's no privilege for being white. There's no oppression for being not white. The problem is, you don't get that 100% adoption rate. So, but I mean, like, ultimately, that's what I think we have to strive for. So you only get there if people start adopting that fucking mentality. I get it. It's a catch-22. But that's where I'm at on it. Speaking over a person of color about racism. What if what they're saying is really dumb? Like, you shouldn't assume that just because a person is, black or Latino or whatever, that they have some really insightful and poignant things to say about racism in this country. Because just like there's stupid fucking white people, there's stupid fucking Latino people, there's stupid fucking black people, there's stupid fucking people of every goddamn color of the multiracial rainbow. And if someone's saying a bunch of stupid goddamn gobbledygook nonsense, like what if you're in a fucking debate with Jesse Lee Peterson and he starts making some KKK bullshit talking points? Should I not be like, hey, that's a bunch of bullshit? Just because he's black and I'm white, so I should let him say whatever stupid nonsense he's saying when I'm probably going to be the one who's further along on the fucking race issues than he is, hard as that is to believe. Bringing up an unrelated race topic while talking to a person of color, e.g., I would have voted for Obama for a third term. What? I mean, what's wrong with that? What's really wrong with it? Okay, it's virtue signaling. It's like, oh yeah, I see. So you were passed over for that big job because your name is Tyrone. I understand. Well, I loved Obama. I'd have voted for him a third time. Is that virtue signaling? Yes. Is that cringy? Yes. Is there a racist component to it? Does it aid and abet racism? I don't know. I mean, isn't that a little silly? You know, at least they're like, don't you think like their heart's in the right? Can't we just be like, that's just an idiot whose heart is in the right place, but they're just stupid, and you're not going to fix the fact that they're stupid? Can't we just say that? That's what I'd say. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe someone can draw me a diagram of how this is really harmful. Let's see. Telling people you watched a minority-led film multiple times, such as Black Panther, Crazy Rich Asians, or Get Out. I wouldn't do that because Black Panther sucked. Sorry. It sucked. It wasn't good. Crazy Rich Asians, I never saw. Have no urge to ever see it. Never will. Get Out, I liked. I like Get Out. But I only saw it once, and I probably wouldn't watch it again. So no worry about that from me. I've never personally seen anyone do that, but I think it kind of fits in my same sort of commentary on the last example. Sorry. Using the example of a famous person of color to deny how racist something is. So would this be like saying, you know, there's no systemic institutional racism because Barack Obama was president, or Condoleezza Rice, or Colin Powell, or something like that? You know, these people rose to the top of their respective, you know, military and government positions and stuff. So therefore, there's no roadblocks or hurdles to people of color in entering those, you know, sort of industries, or not industries, but you know, positions of power. I guess that'd be the example you're talking about. You know, yeah, I could see that. I could see that because, you know, just because some people were able to jump all the hurdles doesn't mean there's no hurdles there. That makes sense. I can get with that. Blackface / cultural appropriation, where you borrow cultural items as a costume. You're never going to get me on board with this one. It's never going to happen. Like, okay, blackface, okay, fine. There's a whole storied history with that, but like, you can't, if I want to wear a fucking dashiki or something, it's my fucking business. You don't get to tell me how to dress. I don't care, like, our culture invented that. No, cultures don't have trademarks on shit. They never will in my mind. You know, I don't walk up to black people, it's like, what are you doing wearing a t-shirt? That's my people's shit. Like, that's fucking stupid. Just stop. Denying / being defensive when confronted with the idea of racism. Well, I mean, I'm clearly guilty of that right here in this video. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, is it really like a crime to argue something out, to offer up a different perspective, to be like, hey, I understand where you're coming from. Here's where I'm coming from. Let us engage in a dialogue. Like, isn't that what we're supposed to do? Aren't we supposed to have conversations about this stuff where we talk to each other and you understand my position a little better and I understand your position a little better and maybe we both walk away a little bit the wiser? Like, isn't that supposed to be how shit works in an ideal fucking world? But no, that's not the world we live in. We live in the world of, you know, I'm right, and anyone who fucking challenges me in any way or any respect is wrong. And they're not only wrong, they're a piece of shit, and they're bad. Like, is that really a healthy mentality that we as a fucking, like, across all the, like, very few things do I think are culturally ubiquitous. But that's one thing I think is almost completely ubiquitous throughout this culture, is this idea of, I'm right, everyone else is wrong, and if you disagree with me, you're bad. It's not healthy. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk. Let's understand each other a little bit. Is that so hard? Is that so bad? I don't even like other people. I don't even like listening to other people. But I'm willing to do it. Fuck. Bringing up someone's race when it's not relevant. I don't know. Like what? I mean, like, I wish there was examples for this shit. Let me think here. So I have an Asian friend. We're not close, super close friends, but I have an Asian friend I hang out with sometimes. When I'm hanging out with him, am I like, yo, you Asian? I can't think of doing that. Maybe I do. I don't know. I'll have to study my behavior a little closer on that one. I'm not sure. I also don't know what the definition of relevant here is in this instance. Like, what's relevant? Like, if I'm making a joke? Well, I already know the position on jokes. Never mind. Referring to the race card. Come on. Let's be real. All right. Sometimes people play the fucking race card. You know it's true. You do. You know there's people who play the race card. You know there's people out there who haven't faced an ounce of racial discrimination, who nonetheless, if they see a situation where it'd be advantageous for them to be like, it's 'cause I'm black, ain't it? They're going to do that. Not everybody. Not even a lot of people. But some people, come on. Not believing that people of color contribute to society. Well, I mean, that to me falls under the definition of like old school racism, right? That's if you have the opinion like only white people have ever done anything good for this country. That's not a new idea of what racism is. That's just the old idea of what racism is. So yeah, sure, we're on board. I'm on board. I can't speak for anyone but myself. Covering up racism as opinion or free speech. Well, I mean, it is. I mean, this is a UK article, so things are different there, I guess. But here in the United States, every attempt to create a separate category for hate speech has been roundly and unanimously rejected by the Supreme Court. There's just not that distinction. Under the First Amendment, you do have the right to be as racist as you want. You know, you can suffer professional consequences due to that. You can be ostracized from, your peer group. You can be fired from a company. You can lose a lucrative contract if you're some kind of celebrity or something. But as far as the government coming and prosecuting you, it just doesn't happen. It can't happen. It's covered by the First Amendment. This has been decided time and time again. The last time it was reaffirmed, I don't remember the exact year, but it was reaffirmed unanimously by the Supreme Court. Liberal justices and conservative justices alike are like, no, there's no exemption. There's no First Amendment exemption for hate speech. Hate speech is part of freedom of speech. There's no separate distinction there. So it is freedom of speech, and it is opinion. If you how is it not opinion? If you're like, I think white people are superior to all other races. How's that not an opinion? If it's not an opinion, what is it? A fact? It's definitely not a fact. So it must be an opinion. Plenty of opinions are wrong. Plenty of opinions are horrible. Plenty of opinions are fucking disgusting. Opinions. I think I said opinions there. So yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that shit. Of course it's an opinion. And at least in this country, it is protected by freedom of speech. There's no arguing that. Asking for evidence when a person of color explains their lived experience. I'm really uncomfortable with the idea that any claim should just be accepted without evidence. You know? I mean, obviously, I accept claims without evidence. You accept claims without evidence. You know, we do it all the time. You know, if someone, like if Paul, one of my co-hosts on my podcast, Deep Fat Fried, comes to my house with a black eye and says he was mugged and someone punched him in the face, I'm not going to be like, no, you just slipped and hit your fucking face on the doorknob. You know, I'm going to believe him. And I'm not going to ask for evidence. I'm not going to be like, where's the security footage of the black, I almost said the black guy punching you. I never said it was a black guy. I guess we're talking about race. No, or I just assumed it was a black guy because I'm racist. You know, I want to see video footage of the guy punching you in the face. I want to see it. You know, I'm not going to expect that. So I guess there are certain claims I do believe without evidence. But like, let's just look at the recent case of Jussie Smollett. Jussie Smollett. There was tons of people who believed his story without evidence. It's like, oh, yeah, well, we can't question his lived experience. We can't question his lived experience. And in fact, people who did question his lived experience were criticized for it. Like, how dare you not believe him? How dare you? And then, lo and behold, the evidence came out, and it turned out that old Jussie was a fucking liar. So the people who criticized him and said this is all bullshit were right, and the people who just believed him were wrong. So if you want to set up a standard of just believe people of color, regardless of what the evidence shows, just believe their lived experience, then you're setting yourself up to be a pretty gullible motherfucker. Right? I mean, because at least that's one prominent fucking instance where the person of color was fucking lying about their lived experience. I think it's kind of racist, honestly, to say that, well, no, people of color don't lie about their lived experience. Of course some people lie. Everybody lies about their lived experience. Everybody fucking lies about something, somewhere, sometime. And if you're out there right now saying, I've never told a lie, guess what? That's a fucking lie. Of course you've lied. Everybody fucking lies. So I don't believe shit. In fact, if Paul came here with a black eye tomorrow, I would ask to see the fucking security tape, or I don't believe shit. And even if I do see the tape, I'd be like, how do I know that wasn't doctored? How do I know that's not a deep fake? Telling someone they're racist for bringing up race. Racist for bringing up race. I don't know. I don't even know what that's. I need an example. Thinking you're privy to racial struggles because you have diverse members in your family/social groups. I mean, I don't. So I guess I wouldn't commit that. I mean, like, yeah, I'm like 90% of the motherfuckers I pal around with are white. I have an Asian friend, and that's pretty much it. So I wouldn't do that. But if I did have a bunch of black friends, I probably would go around and be like, I understand the struggle, brother. I do. I get it. Because I hang around with you, and you bitch about it all the time. You know, I think this kind of message, it kind of hurts the fucking, it hurts the message, doesn't it? Like when you say you could never understand the struggle. Like, even if that's true, doesn't that kind of just necessarily kind of preclude people from empathizing with you if it's like, oh, yeah, I really empathize with what you're saying. No, you don't. You could never understand. It's like, oh, well, fuck you then. Right? That's my attitude. At least I'm honest about it. I guess the article goes on, but we've talked enough probably. So I don't know. There's my take. And am I pretending to, let me just make it clear. Like, am I pretending for a second that this is anything other than the rambling take of some fat fucking neckbeard on the internet? No. Should you fucking look at this video as some paragon of wisdom? Like, oh, TJ, you called it, you right. No, don't do it. This is just one dude offering one dude's fucking take, and you can agree with it. You can disagree with it. You can agree with some, disagree with others. I'd certainly like to see what you have to say. So leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if, if there's anything you want to expand upon, if there's anything you want to disagree with, if there's anything where you think I was way off base or I didn't understand what I was reading or I didn't fucking properly get the context of what was happening, or if I said something that was stupid or wrong, feel free to jump down my throat and be like, you're a fucking idiot, and here's why. Just remember the here's why part. Because I don't really mind. If you want to call me a fucking moron, that's great. I love it. Go ahead. But just provide reasons. Like, give me an argument back. Like, you're a moron because you said this, and actually things are this way, and you might not be aware of this thing. Okay, cool. Let's do that. Instead of just, you're dumb because I don't like you. And now I'm going to have 900 comments. You're dumb because I don't like you. Ha ha ha. I'm so original. I'm the best troll ever. He said not to say something and I said it. Yeah. Anyway, so if you enjoyed this video, give it a big old thumbs up. And subscribe to this channel. Go subscribe to my podcast, Deep Fat Fried. And check out all that bullshit. And I appreciate you. I love you and all that nonsense. And, blah, 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 hibbity, jibbity, Jew.